Shalom, shalom, everybody. I've had a lot of difficulties getting this video up. Today's video is going to again be another reaction, a little different twist because we're going over. I'm kind of using these reactions for some of the things that's been going on since 2019 all the way now to piece together the fall of Babylon or the fall of America, the fall of the daughter of Babylon. So, with that said, excuse me, clearing my throat. With that said, let's get started, alright? So, first thing I gotta go in here and hit this mute button.
Joe Biden's inflation is crushing Americans, and Biden and Beto support higher.
It seemed like an odd way to spend a Saturday, watching the blood sports at a festival for far-right extremists. This was the summer of 2019, and I'd gone to Ukraine to learn more about these groups. From the crowds, one thing seemed pretty clear about them. They weren't bothered by the fact that this event was organized by the Azov movement, a far-right group that has increasingly been linked to violence around the world.
The shooter is linked to a 74-page manifesto filled with white supremacist rhetoric.
FBI agents say he expressed a desire to travel to Ukraine to fight with a far-right paramilitary group.
At least one member of an American hate group also trained in Ukraine with Azov Battalion.
According to the FBI, domestic terrorists killed 39 people in fiscal year 2019, making it the most deadly year for domestic terrorism since the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing.
The threat of white nationalism has evolved since Oklahoma City, where a domestic terrorist used a truck bomb to kill at least 168 people. Police don't tend to see such terrorists as lone wolves acting in isolation anymore. It's become clear to law enforcement that these attackers often have links to a global network, one with common goals and a shared ideology.
We are looking very hard at white supremacists or neo-Nazis here, connecting through social media online with like-minded individuals overseas, and in some cases actually traveling overseas to train.
Over the last few years, experts in violent extremism have grown especially alarmed about the Azov movement. The group emerged from the revolution that swept across Ukraine in 2014, and it has gotten a lot stronger amid the ongoing war with pro-Russian forces in eastern Ukraine. The fighting in that region has become kind of ideal breeding ground for militias like Azov. At their public events, one thing that surprised me was how many Ukrainians tend to see Azov not as militants or extremists, but as war heroes. In Kiev, the capital, I watched an Independence Day parade where veterans of the Azov Battalion marched alongside other volunteer militias, surrounded by cheering crowds, who thanked them for defending Ukraine against Russia. But even at the march, there were signs of the far-right ideology that's so common inside Azov. The symbols on their flags have been especially controversial. Azov says it combines the letters I and N for idea of nation, but extremism experts see it as an emblem of Nazism.
The official symbol of Azov, it's a version of Wolfsangel. It was one of the symbols of one of SS division during the World War II. It is one of more or less usual symbols for neo-Nazi groups all over the world.
And it's not just about their symbols. When it was founded in 2014, Azov drew many of its commanders and recruits from Ukraine's most notorious far-right groups, including outright neo-Nazis.
We basically recruited everyone who could hold weapons in their hand when Ukrainian state was paralyzed and the defense of Ukrainian state was totally in the hand of Ukrainian volunteers. So there were many war adventurers, guys who believed that they are on a kind of ideological tour to save maybe the future of the West and so on and so forth.
So the future of the white race?
Or, yes.
Azov's paramilitary wing is now a major fighting force, with its own bases and training grounds near the front lines of the war against pro-Russian forces. After the Veterans Parade in Kiev, I interviewed Andrei Biletsky, who founded the Azov movement in 2014.
Это воинское братство, это люди, которые не просто служили вместе, а вместе проливали кровь, переживали гибель товарищей, сладость побед, охраны общественного порядка на улице. Мы создаем отряды самообороны, которые помогают поддерживать порядок на улицах.
Azov's leaders have also tried to break into politics. They failed to win any seats in parliament during the most recent elections in 2019, but their plans in Ukraine are ambitious.
Сьогодні ми відпочиваємо, але навіть відпочиваючи, ми пропагуємо наші нові українські цінності. Бути сильними і сміливими, бути єдиними і відчувати братерство своєї нації.
What worries officials in the West is Azov's recruitment strategy. It's tried hard to build friendships with far-right groups around the world, especially in the US and Europe. During my visit in 2019, I spent a day at one of the biggest recruitment events in Azov's history. Thousands of people showed up for a day of fighting sports and blatant propaganda. There were neo-Nazi symbols, tattoos, and posters all over the place. And many in the crowd seemed pretty receptive to Azov's far-right ideology.
Бути толерантним про-ЛГБТшникам – це неприродне. Для цього треба людині промити мозки. Поважати своїх батьків, любити своїх дітей, пишатися за свою країну – це нормально.
Events like this also tend to attract recruits from abroad. One of the ones I met was named Robin, who had just arrived in Ukraine from Sweden, where he told me he's wanted for hate crimes.
This is hard to explain the surroundings for someone who's watching this, you know. It's surreal. It's like, I don't know, it's like something you read about the great Germany before, you know, in the 1920s. It's a revival of the Indo-European soul. Mm-hmm. And it's all happening here in Ukraine.
Afterward, we rode back to the Azov base in northern Kyiv, where Azov commanders had allowed Robin to stay as a potential recruit.
We are Aryans, and we will rise again. That's a way of...
In a world where no one is safe, where your country is conquered.
Life, you know. And after the war in Germany, we went back to the benches, school benches. But now we will rise again.
Are they neo-Nazis as an organization? No. Have they had neo-Nazis in their organization? I would say look at the U.S. Army, and you would find neo-Nazis as well.
Dave is an American expat and U.S. military veteran who has volunteered to help Ukraine's National Guard. And he's met a lot of the recruits who'd come to join Azov. You only need one of these guys to kind of go home and commit an act of terrorism to then really damage the reputation of Ukraine in the eyes of the world, right? So that's really a risk that Ukraine faces. Do you think they're taking it seriously enough?
No, yes.
A few weeks later, Robin, the Swede I met at that festival, wrote me that he was going to the front lines to join the fight. With recruits like this, it's little wonder that U.S. officials see Azov as a threat. Experts point out that the pace of white supremacist terrorism has intensified, with new incidents frequently filling the headlines. 22 gunned down at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, 2 killed near a synagogue in Halle, Germany, 9 more in an attack on 2 shisha bars near Frankfurt, and a series of arrests exposing far-right terror plots across the US and Europe. One tally reported an increase of 320% in such attacks in Western countries between 2014 and 2019.
Я знаю, я вірю, я переконаний, що ми готові до боротьби, що ми готові бути сміливими і сильними, що ми готові перемагати. Бо за нами Україна, а перед нами наша остаточна велика перемога. Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава нації! Смерть ворогам! Україна! Понад усе! Україна! Понад усе! Україна! Понад усе!
مقدرات الشعوب.
Okay, I just want to hit on a couple of things. First off, like, that dude at the end who's like, they're not all neo-Nazis. Like, he's a lie. He's America propagandist, and that's, like, I don't care. Like, he's an America propagandist, and that dude right there himself is probably a neo-Nazi. Why would you go out there and join the neo-Nazis? And then when you hear what he said to justify it, well, if people think there's neo-Nazis here, there's neo-Nazis in the U.S. military too. There's also Bloods and Crips in the U.S. military. I didn't see no Bloods and Crips over there. Like, it's cap. It's cap. And they're celebrated and used as like this righteous army. When they said, even in the video, they said that Ukraine is behind us and the big battle is in front of us. Like, pretty much we will not lose. Like, the one dude referenced Hitler and, like, not Hitler, but Germany, that part of Germany, the great Germany, he said, and it's revitalized in that place. And then they brought up major stats about how these dudes travel from state to state doing damage in terrorist action, which is crazy. So this verse that I'm going to right now isn't necessarily about these people in particular, but let's take it after this video. Okay, Ezekiel. But at the same time, it is definitely speaking towards a lot of the things that the government and, because like this was just in 2019, they were terrorists, they were white supremacists, all of this, but then in 2021 when Russia went after them, they became, that's not them, Russia's lying. So we got to understand that, like, our country is the king of propaganda. This wicked place is the king of propaganda. That's what we do. When we went into Afghanistan, we created the terrorists to fight Russia because Russia was helping Afghanistan clear their country. So, like, this is way bigger than clear that country. So this is way bigger. Same for Syria. If Russia didn't help in Syria, we would have took over Syria. So a lot of the things we say on the television is propaganda. It's lies. All right. So let's get this. It says, "And thou, son of man, prophesy and say, Thus saith the Lord God concerning the Ammonites, and concerning their reapproach. Even say thou, the sword is drawn, for the slaughter it is furbished, to consume because of the glittering. While they see vanity unto thee, whilst they divine a lie unto thee, they making up stories, to bring thee upon the necks of them that are slain, of the wicked, whose day is come. Their iniquity shall have an end. So, shall I cause it to return into its sheath? Shall I judge thee in the place where thou was created, in the land of thy nativity?" And that's what they think, because Ukraine helped Germany in the war. Russia and the USSR fought in Ukraine against Germany. Part of Ukraine was with them, and they stopped them in World War II. Like, they make it in our history books like America stopped Germany. No, we didn't. Russia killed way more of them than they did, and they had way more people die. So that was where the real war was fought, was in between them. So don't be caught up with the lies. And it says, "And I will pour out my indignation upon thee. I will blow against thee in the fire of my wrath, and deliver thee into the hand of brutish man, and skillful to destroy. Thou shalt be for fuel for the fire. Thy blood shall be in the midst of the land. Thou shalt be no more remembered, for I, the Lord, have spoken it." And it's important that we hit on that, okay? Now with that, we're going to go right into the next video. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it going. Let me, my bad, in this next video, I'm actually have to keep the mic on so I can read it. Now let's get it. This was in 2015, this person put it up, and he dropped a lot of good points. So we're going to go into this. Titled, When will Babylon America be destroyed? Many people are teaching that Babylon the Great America could be nuked and invaded by Russia at any time, because they believe that America will be destroyed before the start of the Great Tribulation, which is not true. It's not true. They also teach that America could cause Israel to be divided, and then we will be hit by a huge earthquake that splits America, and this could also happen at any time. America will indeed be nuked and invaded, and it will be split, but not before the start of the Great Tribulation, which is important because we're in the Great Tribulation now. After the 400 years of serving here, everything started to go off right after that. It started with COVID, and then from COVID it led to the economic situation with the inflation and all the different things. Now we're talking about a wage price spiral, which would be the end of the dollar. A lot of people don't know that, but look up Venezuela, look up Zimbabwe, look up countries whose dollar disappeared, and you will learn what a wage price spiral is. So it's important to know these, because people always say, well, we need to go up, we need to go up, we need to go up. That's not how it happens. The more you make, the more they raise the prices. So they're going to always keep you only being able to have enough money to afford a certain amount of thing. It just makes it bad for other people, everybody else. The key to how you actually make the economy better, God's not going to allow it to happen, but I'm going to just put it out there, would be to lower the wages and strengthen the dollar and have everything be cheaper, to where people with lower wages could pay for everything they needed. Right? So that's the way that you would strengthen the dollar. Okay, so let's say, it says, first off, the book of Revelation tells us that the beast will hate the harlot and burn her with fire. The beast is Europe, y'all. The harlot is America. The beast and the 10 horns you saw will hate the prostitute. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. This proves that Babylon, America, will be here a while the beast is in power. That is not true. The beast gains power for 1 hour. Let's get that real quick, and then we're going to get right back into this and try to finish. So I believe that is I believe it's Revelation 17. So let's get it. Revelation 17. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I gotta get down on the word. Okay, it finally worked. And we're gonna start at, let's hit we'll just read this line, right? It says, and upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abomination of the earth. Right? And I saw a woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the matriarchs of Yeshua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and the beast that carrieth her, which have 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundations of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. Now this is important, I'm about to break it down. And here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. 7 mountains in Revelation, Palatine, Capitoline, Venetine. They call these hills, but these are all in Rome. This is the ongoing, what most people believe. So if this is the truth, then it's talking about Rome, right? So let's get back into it. It says, He says, here's the mind which has wisdom. So if you got wisdom, you're gonna be able to understand this. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Right? And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7th, and goeth into perdition. So let's name these beasts, right? Or these not beasts, but the 7 kings, right? We got the Egyptians, we got the Assyrians, we got the Babylonians, we got the Persians, we got the Greeks, then we got Rome. See, and this is important when we talk about Rome, right? Because it says, matter of fact, let's go to Daniel, and we're gonna go to chapter 7. Boom, boom. Daniel chapter 7. And it says, and after this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceeding, and it had great iron teeth. Now, in Daniel, it's only speaking of 4 beasts. It don't speak of all 6. So that's important to go into. But I just wanted to, let's keep going. It devoured and brake into pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Matter of fact, let me see. Okay. And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up from among them a little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. This is talking about America. America came from those, like I said, there's 3 languages that are predominantly spoken in America: the Spanish, English, and French. These are typically what most, if you cut down down the line, you can find many people of multiple cultures speaking these things, like Creoles, Hispanics, and like I say, English. And if you know the history, it was Portuguese, France, England, and Spain that came over here to take over this country. Okay. And a fiery stream came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set in the books for, oh, wait, let's get down here, my bad. It said, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, right? So he was watching all of this. He saw the new horn pluck up, and he watched it till the thrones were cast down. And the ancients of days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and hair of his head was like pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheel as a burning fire. A fiery stream came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000s of 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld. So it's talking about Christ. He watched this happen up until the time that Christ was coming, right? And it says, a fiery stream came out before him, right? I beheld then, because the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body was destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and there were given unto him dominion and glory, a kingdom, that all people, all nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So let's go down to what the angel was breaking down, because Daniel didn't understand this dream, right? He says, Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue of his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up before him, before whom 3 fell, even of the horn that had the eyes and the mouth, that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows, right? Because America was bathed in New Age technology, right? I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, which we know that happened with the Native Americans and the blacks, the Haitians. We can go over many people this happened to, right? And especially out of God's people. Until the ancients of days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, which that's what he says about our salvation, is that he's coming to save his people, right? So this is up until the coming of Christ's time. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom, right? And thus said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it into pieces. And the 10 horns out of the kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So this is talking the same thing, is breaking it down more deftly about how the beast, which is Rome, out of that beast, when Rome broke down, you got the 10 horns, which are 10 kingdoms, and like Revelation says, they hadn't received the kingdom. 10 kings that haven't received the kingdom, and America came and subdued the 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times in the dividing of time. But judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is the everlasting kingdom. And all dominion shall serve and obey him. Here too is the end of the matter, right? So that really troubled Daniel to see. Let's continue getting back into this. It says, Revelation 16 tells us that Babylon the Great will be split into 3 parts. Let's go back. Will be split into 3 parts during the 7th bowl of wrath. That's true. Revelation 16 does say that. The great city split into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations collapsed. God remembered Babylon the Great and gave her the cup filled with the wine of her. Whoa, that went too fast. The cup. He didn't make this long enough. The cup filled with the wine of the fury of his wrath, right? This passage told us that Babylon will be split. Babylon receives the cup of God's wrath. This is nuclear war. And we're going to go into how we know this is nuclear war too. The details of the cup of God's wrath that is given to Babylon the Great is explained to us more in detail in the next 2 chapters, Revelation 17 and 18. So this tells us that America is split and nuked, or nuked and split. Then Russia, China, and the 10-nation beast will invade us. That is important that he switched it up. He said it's either split and nuked or nuked and split, because nobody knows which one is actually going to come first, right? It says, then Russia, China, and the 10-nation beast will invade us. 10-nation beast, like we described earlier, is Europe, and they're missing a country that we're going to go into a little later with the scripture. But the war will not last for several years, as some prophets have claimed, because it is not long after America is nuked in Revelation 18 that Christ returns and destroys the beast and the false prophets and their allies, Russia and China, right? Now, Russia and China at the end of Revelation 19. This is important because this is important because actually, I don't know about Russia for sure. Like, they could be destroyed for sure because they are part of the East, and that's kind of what the war will be against them, the East, India, China, Russia, Iran, you know, different countries like that. So like, I can't really say too much about how Russia, because the Bible don't give a full clear definition, but it does say that the East, as far as like China and India and all of them, they will gain power after this, but for a short time. That's in 2nd Esdras 15. Like, literally the moment they win the war, they're going to be hit with famine and economic crisis, and they're going to fall. They're not going to be the top. It's going to immediately fall to Europe or Rome or the 10 horns that will finally receive the kingdom, right? So this is the next video that we're going to play. And after this, I'm going to wrap up the Bible study. So I'm going to hit pause so everybody can hear this. I'm going to hit pause so everybody can hear this, and then we're going to go ahead and knock it out, alright? So let's get it. Pause on my voice.
Sort of a thought question for you, which is, I'd like to propose the idea here that perhaps the war in Ukraine hasn't even started yet. Think about that for a minute. Like, we've been told, of course, the past 7 to 8 months, since February, when this war or invasion of the Donbass region actually started, that that's the real start of the war. But what if it hasn't started at all? I'm just going to let it hang out there for a second. Let it hang out there like a dangling participle. And you guys let me know in the chat if you think it's actually started or if it's about to. We'll come back to this in a moment. But first, American cities are preparing for a nuclear war. Now, if you're traveling on the subway in New York City, or you're in Los Angeles, or you're in San Francisco on the BART system, you may have noticed, if you're in New Jersey on the train stations, you might have noticed that there are nuclear preparedness signs popping up. So take a look at this on your screen, what this says here. Radiation emergencies, what should you do? Get inside. Now, this was all over Reddit yesterday. People are like, I can't believe these are popping up all over the place. Philip, I know how much you love Reddit. I don't know if you saw this on Reddit yesterday, but
I did not. I actually didn't do as much Redditing as usual yesterday. So.
See? And you feel, and you sound happier, to be honest with you.
I'm so much happier.
So this is what you would have seen on Reddit yesterday. Get inside is the first little picture. Stay inside is the second picture. And I love that they've got in this little picture there's a picture of a guy with a dog too. Like, get inside, stay inside. And third is stay tuned. Like, stay tuned to the radio or your favorite television station for the very latest.
That's a very confusing graphic. I was like, what is that?
It's a guy just watching TV like a drone, like just sitting there with its back.
Oh, that's a person?
That's a person listening to a radio, just like with their back to us at the very bottom of the screen.
That's terrible graphic. I thought it was a spray bottle in a temple.
At a temple. Yeah. So, of course, this is all a lie. We would be wiped off the map. You wouldn't be able to stay inside, right? You wouldn't be able to stay inside and be tuned to the radio. There'd be no radio at all. There'd be no television stations. It would all be wiped away, especially if this happened in like the New York City metro area.
Of course.
It would be destroyed. It's the same. Of course, it's the same lie they told us in the 1950s, right? The ridiculous duck and cover advertisements. Remember this?
Wait! 50,000? That's just pathetic, man.
He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Duck and cover.
Yeah, that'll help you, right? That'll help you. Sammy the turtle or whatever his name is, duck and cover. So what happens though if you get covered in radiation, right? And from the nuclear bomb, you're inside now sitting with your dog listening to the radio covered in radiation. Just have mommy wipe off some of the radiation with some soap, right? Watch.
You know how bad sunburn can feel. The atomic bomb flash could burn you worse than a terrible sunburn, especially where you're not covered.
Oh.
Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the Turtle, so we have to cover up in our own way. First, you duck And then you cover. And
Yeah,
very
that'll save us all.
tightly, you cover the back of your neck and
That'll
your face.
save us all.
Duck and cover.
Yeah, that'll save us all. So NATO is really excited about launching a nuclear war. You might have seen this all weekend. It's continuing to unfold. And since our show last night, it's gotten even worse. They want to keep pushing the idea that Putin is about to launch nuclear weapons. These drum beats have gotten louder since our last night's show. And just look at what the Western press is saying this morning. Russian nuclear sub disappears armed with doomsday weapon. So, of course, NATO wants Putin to use some sort of tactical nuclear weapon. It will give them all the excuse they need to launch a full-scale attack of Russia. And here's another news report. It says experts. Here's more proof of that. This article says, if Putin uses nukes, U.S. could wipe out Russian forces in Ukraine. Oh, so you want this to happen, basically. Here's an expert saying this. We want this to happen. The expert cited in the article actually says this. Also acknowledged, he says, that such a direct U.S. or NATO military strike against the Russian military, even in response to the Russian use of tactical nuclear weapons on the battlefield, could spiral out of control.
That's not what you want to hear from experts, that we will not be able to control this once the whatever is out of the barn.
But also it's obvious. Yes, of course. It would spiral out of control. So you want Putin to launch a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine so that then that's just one little nuclear bomb. It's contained. And now we have a full scale NATO invasion or just destruction of Russia. Like that's what you want to have happen. And nobody else would launch any nuclear weapons after that. It would just be this little like test. Here you go. That's not going to happen. Of course it would spiral out of control. Retired general and former Pentagon official tells CNN the U.S. should consider launching a nuclear strike on Russia. Listen to this. Crazy.
CNN has learned that the U.S. is developing contingency plans for possible Russian escalation in its war in Ukraine, including the potential use of tactical nuclear weapons. Also, the possibility of what one source described as a nuclear display. That would be something short of a nuclear strike, including the possibility of a military strike on the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. So this shows how serious.
First of all, we'll go on in a second here. So they're going. So let's just be clear: an area that Putin now controls,
they would strike on it
with a nuclear attack on the nuclear power plant.
Do two nukes cancel each other out?
Like, this is the kind of Western garbage. This is CNN. Like, this is CNN ridiculousness.
The U.S. is taking these Russian nuclear threats. They've been developing contingency plans for some time. I wonder, can you describe what such contingency plans might involve?
Well, I think, first of all, there's the public face of all of this, which is how we communicate to Russia what we're prepared to do, what we're not prepared to do. My personal view is I think we ought to be deliberately vague on what we are prepared to do. Anytime you draw a red line, that commits you to a certain course of action. Look, I think it's fairly simple to lay down the options. It could be the soft side of it, which is doubling down on sanctions, doubling down on export controls, ranging all the way.
So soft is draconian sanctions that are going to get people killed because they have no food, right? That's soft, according to this general. What about peace? How is that soft?
So
that might be soft. Like, maybe peace would be the first. That might be an option.
Right. How about now we come to the table and say, we're done with war. People are dying.
So he goes on. Listen.
Look, I think it's fairly simple to lay down the options. It could be the soft side of it, which is doubling down on sanctions, doubling down on export controls, ranging all the way to a nuclear response of our own and everything in between.
Wow. So a nuclear attack.
Okay.
So everything in between. What do you think?
I'm horrified. I'm just thinking of like, oh, okay, what does this mean for the rest of us? Because it's wherever it might be, we'll have fallout for everybody. And up to this point, it's really infuriating to see these anchors kind of saying, oh, well, you know, that might happen over there. I'll be okay over here. And I feel comfortable then not putting anything on the air that will promote peace and just sort of fear mongering and ratcheting this up and falling in line. We're going to talk in the last segment later about how the media has no problems promoting war because it just feels like it hasn't touched them and it feels very elitist.
Yeah. And him especially, like Jim Sciota or whatever, like he's all friends with the intelligence state. He's constantly parroting things from the intelligence community. Like they tell him what to say and he puts it right on CNN. He continues to do that. He's friends with all of these guys. They all know him personally. So to put this nuclear fallout scenario in context for a minute, just think about this. Atmospheric scientist Brian Toon has been studying atmospheric nuclear weapons and how this would all unfold for 39 years, so he's an expert. And he explains it this way. He says that, the Enola Gay, of course, there it is, that carried one atomic bomb, had the power of 15,000 tons of TNT. And when it dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, Japan, 100,000 people died. Now, just to give some example, we have these Trident missiles now, that the UK has and others. And of course, one of these Trident nuclear missiles with one of these bombs, if it hit a population center like Philadelphia or Sacramento, would kill 500,000 people. It has enough power to kill everything within an 8-kilometer radius. This is the smallest of the small. So we're talking like tactical, mobile nuclear weapons on board a submarine, on a nuclear submarine, right? So we're just using like the small example here. So again, scientist Brian Kuhn describes how this small attack would work on land. Let's say this hits Baltimore, Maryland as an example, for instance, my dad's hometown. Here is an example, and he explains this. So in this orange circle, there's a shockwave so powerful that it knocks down concrete buildings and kills everyone within that zone. In the red circle, then there's radiation that's released from the atomic bomb as it fissions. Then the radiation would kill 50 to 90% of the people in Baltimore over the next few weeks. Then in the green circle, buildings would collapse. The shockwave continues out with enough power to knock down residential buildings. And then in this yellow circle, 6 miles in diameter, there's a blast of light so bright, if your skin was exposed, you get third-degree burns, which can be fatal. So remember back to that video we saw? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, Billy has a little sunburn.
Yeah, there's no sunscreen that's going to...
Sorry, Mommy's not going to be able to wipe that away with some sun oil and take care of it for you. And finally, a global nuclear war would leave 400 million people dead, and it would be 10 times the size of World War II. So again, these sort of New Jersey signs that people are saying wouldn't be enough to stop any of this.
I mean, forget about wear a mask. It's like wear a nuclear radiation suit. Yeah, that's where we're heading. My sister-in-law was telling me that her kids go to school in Pennsylvania.
Okay, we back. So let's get into it. So that's crazy, man. Like, pretty much, it's like our country is setting us up for a nuclear war, right? And when we go into this nuclear war, there is no winner. And like, it's so crazy because like rich people, or not just rich people, powerful people have nuclear shelters. They're preparing for this. Bill Gates just talked about nuclear shelters for power people, and other people have been making them forever, which is not going to save them from Christ's judgment regardless. But it's almost as if they're part of this issue to give the beast the power. Like, we're going back to Revelation 17, it says, and there are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, 1 is, right? So we got to think about it. Who was one of the kings that was alive? 5 have fallen, 1 is. Remember, we went through the kings: Egyptians, Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Rome, right? Rome was the 6th king that was still alive and ruling during the time of Paul the Paul the Revelator, right? Or John the Revelator. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why I said Paul the Revelator. John the Revelator. So let's get into it. It says, and 1 is, so that was Rome. The other is not yet come. That was America. When he cometh, he must continue a short space. we would have the shortest kingdom. That's why we're not going to last 300 years, 200 years. Our kingdom is already at its fall. This is the same thing Rome went through when it fell, except Rome broke into pieces. America will be broken and burned, right? And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth and is of the seventh. That's how we know that the seventh is America and the eighth is Rome again, because he was of the seventh. And just like it said in Daniel, Rome was broken into pieces, not fully destroyed, right? He is the eighth and is of the seventh and goeth into perdition. The 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as of yet, but will receive power as kings for 1 hour with the beast. So it means that these 10 countries, or 10 kingdoms or empires, countries, really what we would call them now, will come together to rule for 1 hour with the beast. This is Europe. It's more than just Europe. We're talking about Egypt, Assyria. We go look at the 10 places that happened after the fall of Rome. The 10 sections after the fall of Rome, right? It says, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. They shall make war with the Lamb. You see, America's already gone by this time. This is the 10 kings that's going to make war with Christ, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called, and chosen, and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Like the country of immigrants, right? And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, the daughter of Babylon, and shall make her desolate and naked, meaning they'll strip her, they'll take away her goods, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree to give their kingdom unto the beast, unto the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest in that great is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So this is God's judgment on America, what's coming. The America's destruction is God's judgment. And we're going to go into this again, right? It says, and after these things, this is Revelations 18, and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened up with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become a habitation of devils, and a hold for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hateful bird. For all the nations have drunk the wine in the wrath of her fornications. And the kings of the earth have committed fornications with her, and the merchants of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. The fornication is idolatry. They got y'all to worship a country instead of a God. They got y'all to believe that God loved the country that he hated, so you wouldn't see the country for its flaws. You would believe in the propaganda that the country was the greatest thing ever put on earth. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not the plagues. Why is God saying to come out of her, his people, right? For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God have remembered her iniquity. So this is what God is going to do to her. He's going to reward her even as she rewarded us. That's why he tells us to come out. It's impossible for us to stay in and then come out and then do what God said, do double to her as what she did to us. That would be impossible. So he's telling us to come out so it can happen against her, right? And double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in the heart, I will sit as a queen, and I am no widow. I shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. And she shall utterly be burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her, right? And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament her, for they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, at last, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for 1 hour is this judgment come. Now, why were they standing afar off? Because like we were saying earlier, we're going to get into how we know these are nuclear bombs. The radiation they just described in that video, is why they're standing afar off. They don't want to get too close to it. Now we're going to go all the way down so we can see this right here, right? It says, Revelations 18 and 20, it says, rejoice over her, thou heaven. So they're going to be praising God for allowing finally for this destruction to come on this place in the heavens. And ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. So everything she did to y'all people, boom, it got done back to her, right? And in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints and all that were slain upon the earth. A country of immigration, right? That's where we was going to. Now, we about to hit this one up next, right? We about to hit Isaiah 47. Really cool. So we're gonna hit Isaiah 47. I'm sorry, this is gonna be another video that's pretty long, but I'm trying to get them better and more short for you guys. Let me know if y'all like long videos or short. I might have to try to do both, but it is really hard to get up and do these videos and sit in this chair. Like, I do be pushing through it because, you know, we're reaching in that time and people need to know these things. I got a lot of videos trying to explain some of this previously, but now that I got a little bit more technology, I'm trying to do it a little bit more advanced. So let's get it right here. Isaiah 47. It says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne. O daughter of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans are sorcerers and witches. This country has put witchcraft on the world. So where the world be thinking they're right, they don't want to hear the righteous people. Even when the righteous people are just trying to correct them. They'll rather blame the righteous people as if we hate them or we're evil against them or all we're trying to do is correct. Which that's what God created us for. Like, he created the righteous man to correct the world. That's a fact. That's why it says it talks about the poor righteous man, right? I believe that's in the Psalms of Solomon in the Apocrypha. It says, take thy millstone and grind the mill. Uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. So this is proof that Christ will not be here when America gets destroyed. He said, I will not meet thee as a man. He's going to come after this. Right after America is destroyed, the sun won't shine, the moon won't shine, the stars won't give her light. And that's how we know that Christ is on his way, because he'll be the only thing that's lit up that we'll be able to see on our exodus out of here. Alright? It says, I will not meet thee as a man. He won't be here. As for Israel, our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee in the darkness, right? So everything will be cut off. So they were saying in that one thing, go in your house, keep watch. Like, everything will be cut off. No satellites, no power, no running water. Everything will be set down. Sit thou in the silence. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the lady of the kingdom. Why is this? This shows you that God allowed, he knew things were going to happen, but this shows you how the devil be working them. He says, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thy hand. See, we were placed into the hand of other people. That don't mean that God placed us into the hand of other people so they could do us the way that they personally did. It says, thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancients thou hast very heavily laid the yoke. It says the same thing again, like I said, talking about in the wisdom of Solomon, right? The poor righteous man. And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever. This is America, we won't fall, and people don't even understand the spirit they have when they represent that. This is the greatest country. Well, everybody's been saying that. It won't happen in our lifetime. They don't understand that these people, we're only trying to tell you to warn you. When it's too late, it's too late. If you don't want to listen, you don't have to listen. People forget that when Lot and them left that city, his wife got destroyed because she didn't listen. She was told what to do. She decided not to listen anyway. It's not that bad. I'm going to do it anyway. And then she got destroyed. It's important. If God's sending righteous people in front of you, listen. It says, thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst thou remember the later end of it. Because everybody have their own personal relationships with God, so therefore they feel like they don't need to have another person tell them anything. As a man who is well perversed with the Bible, well read and understood with the Bible, all praises to the Most High God, I still have elders that I listen to and I talk to. I still have people I go to for advice and gain understanding from, or at least run my understanding against their understanding and see if God is saying that this was right or if it was wrong. But other people won't even do that when they barely have any righteousness or understanding. Like, they be like, God loves me though, so it don't matter what I do, he loves me. Remember, Christ said that. There'll be many who say, I came in your name, I did this in your name. And Christ will be like, who are you? I don't know you. So don't be fooled by your own personal feelings. That's Satan. Satan will love for you to think that he is Christ and you close to him and get you to do everything that's against the order of the Bible and the order of God, to go against. Well as carelessly, and sayest in thine heart, I am in none else beside me. Right? This is America the Great. There's nobody else that's as great as America. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, in the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfect perfection. It says, they shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, the witchcraft. See, people don't even know that when they partaken in witchcraft and sorcery. And for the great abundance of thine enchantments. People think that the way they feel and the way they understand things are normal, even if a person from God is instructing them. This is the fall of the world, y'all. This is the fall of the world. If you can't be humble enough to heed a person's advice, especially a person that knows more or may have a deeper understanding, that's why the Bible says be careful when you entertain people. It boggles me, right? Because they don't care. Like, people will care about other things. They'll listen to their boss. They won't really talk back to their boss, but like they'll talk back to other people. Like, and that's why in the Bible it was constantly that they were like, look, listen to us, because if we're talking from God. The word of God is coming from us. We're not saying nothing to hurt you. We're saying this to benefit you. But the people will be like, well, no, I want to say it to benefit you. I don't have to listen. What do I need to benefit for? Like, if they already forgot how far they came in a short amount of time, if they even came anywhere. Some people might not have even went anywhere. They still in the dark. They still in the dust. It says, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it has perverted thee. See, all the things the country made people think has perverted them. And thou hast said in thy heart, I am and none else beside me. So everybody think, like I say, we are the greatest country. I have the greatest personal relationship with God. Therefore, I don't need to listen to anybody else. And they don't even understand that there is an order. Like, if a righteous man obeys an order, then how does not everybody else have an order to obey? Like, it's a madness. When God gave the laws to give order, Christ obeyed the order. So we don't want to follow Christ at all. We don't want to even believe in anything he said, because I have my own personal relationship. Why do I need to? No, the own personal relationship is the stem of the evil queen, daughter of Babylon. That's going to get a lot of people destroyed. It says, stand now with thine enchantments, right? So all the stuff you believed before, since everything is good, right? Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, right? So if all of these is going to really help you out in this time that's about to come, if so be thou mayest prevail, then do what you've been doing. Let's see if you prevail. This is what he's saying. And he's speaking about the country and the people in the country. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. You got too many talking to you. You're listening to people ideas of straight speaking sorcery. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognostigators stand up and save thee from the things thou shalt come upon thee. So have all of the scientists and everybody else that has made you feel like you didn't need anything, because if anything ever happened, you would just turn to these people and everything would be fine. Or I would just die and I would be fine with that too, not knowing that some people are going to die and go right into a place where they're going to wait judgment. See, this country has tricked them. When it says they drunk the wine of her adulteries, they have started being witches themselves and don't know it. The world has turned into sorcery and witchcraft. It says, behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor a fire to sit before. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom that thou hast labored, even thy merchants, from thy youth. They say, they shall wander everyone to his quarter, and none shall save thee. So what's going to happen? Everybody going home, bro. Like, everybody is like, look, sorry, I'm gone. I'm going home, bro. That's what's about to happen, right? So, like, all the people just really need to wake up. It's crazy that, like, we in this time, and, like, it's still so hard. That there's a lot, praise the Most High, because there's a lot of people waking up. There's a lot of people taking heed, and I praise the Most High for every one of them. And every one of y'all, you know who you are. Because I talk to a lot of people, and there's a lot of people. It's not about having respect for me, it's about having respect for the Word. A lot of people have respect for the Word, and have gained in their own knowledge and their own understanding. I'm proud of all of those people who have. All right? Especially the ones that I talk to. It's almost like having little kids and seeing them grow. It's amazing, because I don't have kids, so this is my version of having kids. Like, I've helped raise kids, but my version of having kids are the people I minister to. Alright, this is my version of having kids. It says, I lifted up my eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Same thing from what we just read in Revelation. Then said I, whitherest goest thou? And he said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him. And he said unto him, because remember, the 12,000 from each tribe, 144,000, this is what the angel is going to measure, and the people that are with them. It's like it says, all the people that God chose, if you're under them, you get what I'm saying, you under that protection. That also means obeying. I know people obey themselves, they obey traffic laws, they obey whatever they want, but then when another person is trying to get them to obey, and that's why the disciples constantly had to reiterate that to the people, because the people were trying not to obey. That's why Peter walked in like, you're not lying to God, you lying to me, you lying to God, you lying to the Holy Spirit, and them people died. Because people don't want to acknowledge it's not you speaking, but it's the Most High. And everybody wants to feel like it's the Most High speaking from them, even if they literally make no sense. It's too much man in women, but it's worse for men to move and operate by their feelings instead of trying to get logic and understanding. Without logic and understanding, there is nothing. If you, like, all the knowledge in the world don't mean nothing if you don't understand it. And he says unto them, run and speak to this young man, saying, Run and speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as a town without walls for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I saith, the Lord will be unto her a wall of fire round about her, and will be the glory in the midst of her. This proves that when it's speaking of the two prophets, it's not speaking of two individual men coming down from heaven that prophesied it for all of these days or years, and anybody who tried to harm them was harmed with fire. It's speaking of the two tribes, the two different tribes that are going to unite and make up the whole family of Israel again. The Judean tribes and the Ephraim tribes. That's what it's speaking of, right? It says, ho ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord. You get you get that? Ho ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, saith the Lord. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. Because after we leave here, we are under the hedge. So he's like, make sure that you watch and you pay attention, or you link with the right brotherhood or the right people who have an understanding to make sure that you can be delivered throughout this time, because these people already have the Spirit in them preparing them to leave. It says, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath sent me unto the nations which have spoiled you. For he that after the glory hath sent me unto the nations which have spoiled you. Right? So I'm going after the people who hurt you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servant. Ye shall know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. For, lo, I come, and I will deliver, and I will dwell, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. And many nations shall be joined with the Lord in that day. And that's the thing. Nations is nationality. So many different multitudes of people shall be joined with God. But there's an order that they're going to have to follow in order to even make it there. That's why it says that the Gentiles will cleave to Jerusalem. They're going to need to make it. This is a fact. It says, many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, and thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me unto thee. And the Lord shall inherit Judah, his portion, in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. So this is also a separation. Like, many nations going to be joined in the obedience of the Most High under Christ's kingdom, but Judah and Jerusalem will be in the direct vicinity. Be silent, O all flesh, before the Lord, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation. This is the last scripture, y'all, and this scripture right here is going to break down how we know for sure it's nuclear bombs being used, right, and what's coming. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Lift ye up the banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them. Shake thy hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones to anger. So the sanctified is Israel. I also called my mighty ones for mine anger. So he also raised up forces to destroy. That's why Iran celebrate the destruction of America. We about to get into this. Even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of the multitude in the mountains is like of a great people. A tumultuous noise of kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. For It says, they come from a far country, even from the end of heaven. Even the Lord, in the weapons of his indignations. Even the Lord in the weapons of his indignations. That's proof. These weapons, these bombs that's about to be dropped, these arrows, as it said, are falling stars in certain scripture that's about to fall on the earth, especially on this country, to destroy the whole land. These are God's weapons. How else do we know they're nuclear? Let's go down. It says, "How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, and it shall come to pass." It says, and it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Let's go over that again. "How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, and it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt." What can make your heart melt, huh? Let's get it even more. "And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them, and they shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another, their faces shall be as flames." So what's going to make their faces? You'll be looking at each other amazed, in pains, holding your stomach like a woman with a baby, and your face is going to be burning. What can make that happen? This is the nuclear bomb. It says, "Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations therefore shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in its going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and lay low in the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir." Precious means rare. There won't be a lot of people after this, not just in the country, in the world. You get what, like, a lot of people are going to die. And after that, a lot of people won't make it. Christ said that there's a broad road to destruction, there's a narrow road to the kingdom. People love the broad road because they feel like, well, I got it. Christ loves me, I'm going to make it. Christ loves everybody. That's why he's giving us the opportunity to make it. That's why he came. Otherwise, none of us would have had a chance. The world really would have got judged by God. There would be no salvation if it wasn't for God sending Christ for us to have salvation and taking away the death penalty that we used to put on each other. Like he said, "Thou without sin cast the first stone," or else everybody would have been dead in this generation for the sin that they commit. Everybody would have stoned each other. So this is definitely important. It says, "Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished." Your children, people's children are going to get murdered. Their wives are going to be raped and treated as property, because during the destruction, whether people want to be under the law or not, all things will go back under the law. So you can be how you want to act, but the reality is men have always went out to war, and that's why their children didn't get dashed into pieces and their wives didn't get ravished. That's why. When lions take over another lion's pride, he take his wives and kill all the male children. This ain't just started with lions, man. Been doing this forever. But because we have this safety net, we feel like if it's, I don't. And then people do what they do because of the personality of other people. So a person would know that the devil would have them believing that the spirit on you is nice, so they'll constantly go back and forth. But if they were shown like you weren't nice, you were evil, and you really did just slam them through a wall or bust them down. We've seen it many times in life, from whether you were in school and that bully was messing with you, finally bust that bully down, or in certain areas of the country where men still abuse their women, you see the order and the structure of those unities way stronger, because the other side is less likely to test. They're more likely to be patient, listen, and calm, because they feel fear of punishment coming back. But if you're not bringing a punishment, but you're trying to tell people what the punishment gonna come if you don't follow, they think you're a joke. But they won't think people are a joke when these things happen. So where's the other person that we talked about? Behold, right here. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against thee. That is Iran. That is the Persians, the Medes. The Mede-Persian kingdom. The Medes is a key city in Persia. Like, these are these same people, which shall not regard in silver, and as for gold, they shall not find it. You can't buy these people off. They shall not find delight in it. Their bows shall also dash young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the womb of the fruit, on the fruit of the womb. If you didn't have pity when you were aborting children, you think that these people gonna have pity? What is done shall be done back. People need to understand that I shall not spare children. They're not going to care about nothing. They just going to see you as evil. That's why it's important to get close to God, get this understanding, and be prepared for these times to come. And don't think that it won't happen to me, because then when you put in that situation, was you going to give up on God because you realize that what you thought was God protecting you, He stopped protecting you now? Like, it's important that we don't give up and that we have understanding so we know what's going on, and that we cleave close to people who have understanding. Like you said, the Gentiles will cleave to Israel. That's a fact. It says that. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms and the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, the witches, the highest sorcerers on the planet, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. What? There's nothing in Sodom and Gomorrah. Still to this day. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. And owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. That is the end of the lesson, y'all. This was about Babylon the Great, the daughter. We watched a lot of review videos, and then we got